There's The Heat Is On by Glenn Fry. I don't know why I picked this one, but I just thought of the song while I was trying to figure out a song to choose from to to use for this episode of Dylan Knows. And I didn't have any other choices because there's no Thanksgiving song, so I do have a brand new Thanksgiving shirt. Thank you very much. Thanksgiving is next Thursday, so the reason why I'm doing my Thanksgiving episode tonight is because I will not be doing an episode until next weekend. So after Thanksgiving, it'll be Christmas season, so you'll start seeing me Christmas shirts and Christmas sweaters and Christmas everything and Christmas music and all kinds of stuff. So this is the last episode of Dylan Knows without Christmas music in it. So get used to that. It's been a long year so far, but here we are. We're getting to the tail end of it. I'm here right now, episode 377 of Dylan Knows, Give Thanks, Not COVID. We're going to be discussing Thanksgiving, obviously, COVID, obviously, apple pies, Alan Rickman, Jupiter and Saturn, Kent State, Predator, pop culture plushies, Hershey's, fossils, Pepsi, Robert England, Arecibo, Jamie Lee Curtis, Santa Claus, Saint Bernoodle, some personal stuff, some deaths in the family, Deadpool making an appearance. So is Channing Tatum, Beetlejuice, The Godfather. Michael J. Fox retires from acting, which is a bit depressing. What else we got? Bill Belichick is in the news for something that isn't football related. Pokemon Go is changing everything. Fortnite has finally announced the Galactus event. We'll be talking about that as well. Steak cakes, wedding cakes made of cheese. What the hell is that? Why is there always something that I can't figure out what this is? I have no idea what this is. I know what this is. Let me just change that. Darkwing Duck. What the hell is that? Chickens, cat backpacks, which would have been a good episode for this name as well. God, my handwriting is awful here. Sugar cookie martini. Red velvet cheesecake brownies, I guess. Egypt. And salted caramel, to name a few things as well. Couple trailers as well. And Wrigley Field becomes a historic landmark. So let's start today's episode with that. May as well. Wrigley Field, home of the Chicago Cubs. Cubs have been one of the oldest baseball franchises in history. Wrigley Field is one of the most famous baseball stadiums in the world right now. They are finally been noted as a National Historical Landmark, which surprised me enough that it didn't happen until this time, that it took so long for Wrigley Field to become acknowledged as a national history historic landmark. So kudos to that. The one time I went to Chicago was with my dad, and unfortunately, the Cubs were not playing at the time. The White Sox were playing at Old Comiskey Park. So my dad and I ended up going to Old Comiskey Park. We also didn't go to the Hancock Building, which was, I think, at the time, the tallest building in the world, but it's now dwarfed by that. We went to another building downtown Chicago. I think we saw the outside of Wrigley Field, but we actually did not go inside. I think my dad went to Chicago years later and was actually able to get into Wrigley Field at that time. So that's good on that. All kinds of anniversaries going on this week. Here's the first of many. I think I have one on every page, so I think I might just stick with each one on every page. Back in 1992, in the comic world, there was a major storyline that got huge press, that drew attention to comic books in a way that hadn't been done in a while. And it was an event that lasted for well over a year. Talking about the death of Superman back in 1992. I will always remember it was issue number 75 of Superman. Dan Jurgens was the writer, I believe he was also the artist on it. And at that time, the Superman books were like extraordinarily in continuity. The way they worked it out was they figured that everybody who bought Superman liked Superman. And at the time, there were 4 Superman comics out at the time. Let's see, Man of Steel, Action, Superman. I feel like I'm missing one. Maybe it was only 3 at that time. I know it was Superman. It was Superman, Adventures of Superman, Action Comics, and Man of Steel. Those were the 4 that they were. And so the editors, same editor for the most part for all of the Superman things, got the creative teams for all the Superman books together, and they had Superman meetings every year where they would plan the year's event of Superman, but they would connect it together so that, if you want, it was to make it sort of like almost like a weekly event. So say Superman came out the beginning of the week, it would start a story arc, and then it would continue into Adventures of Superman, which was the second week. Then that would continue to Man of Steel, which is the third week. And then it would continue into Action Comics for the fourth week. And then it would start over again and go back into Superman. So it was a constant continuity amongst the 4 comics. They had little diamonds at the top to tell you which order to read them in so you can follow up with it. And it was one of those where if you missed that issue of Superman, you had to go get it. So it was in a way it worked because, there were Superman fans and they were buying all 4 comics anyway. But if there was creative teams you didn't like on the Superman books, you were like shit out of luck because you had to buy those books as well. So that was kind of sucky, but in the end, it was kind of cool. But I think it was Mike Carlin and Jurgens were the 2, I think, that came up with the idea to kill Superman. And so they had been planting seeds in the book for a while, and then they brought about the Doomsday character who popped up, and then leading up to issue 75, Doomsday tore a swath through the United States and the Justice League, which Dan Jurgens was also writing and drawing at the same time. Had to go in and stop him, but they couldn't. So it was up to Superman to try to stop him, and he was heading straight for Metropolis. So there was a big battle, and turned out that he was some Kryptonian monster. You didn't know that because he was wearing this like leotard thing over, so you know what he was till it was all shredded and you saw what he looked like. And then there's a big final battle, and it was one last big punch, and both Superman and Doomsday died. And Superman had saved the day, but he had lost his life, and so that led to the Funeral for a Friend arc, which lasted 2 months. It was 8 issues, which covered, as I said, all 4 of the comics for 2 months. So they covered those, and then they took a break for a couple of months, didn't release any Superman comics, and then they started with the return of the Superman storyline, where 4 new Superman appeared in the 4 Superman comics. There was the Superboy, there was the Cyborg Superman, there was the Kryptonian Superman, and then there was Henry Irons Superman, Black Superman, if you want to call him that. And we didn't know who the real Superman was. They all claimed to be the new real Superman. And so the return of Superman continued, and we learned eventually what was going on. And it in turn, that lasted a couple of months also, and that in turn brought Superman back, but it also sent Green Lantern on Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, on his path to become Parallax, where he destroyed the entire Green Lantern Corps and brought in Kyle Rayner. And I remember the final issue where Superman was back for good. It tied into Green Lantern, and at that time, nobody knew that it tied into Green Lantern, but people needed to get it. So the book was selling out, and stores didn't buy enough because I don't think they knew it was tied in to at the time. So people, or if they did, they bought a bunch, but they didn't buy enough because most people weren't buying Green Lantern at that time. So they didn't buy enough, so it was becoming scarce to find it. And I was lucky to find one. There used to be a comic book store at the old Towson Marketplace Mall, which no longer exists. So I was able to get a copy of that. So I have that as well. So I remember that well. Issue 75 came wrapped in a black poly bag with the Superman thing on it. It came with a black little armband that usually happens when death had. There's whole kinds of stuff. So it was well. I think I bought a bunch of. That was speculating time. I think I bought a bunch of those. I probably have like 5 or 6 of them around in this these various boxes I have in here. So that's pretty interesting as well. So that was cool. Again, later on, we'll be getting into other anniversaries coming up. Coming to America 2, which we told you a couple weeks ago, Amazon bought the rights to air it. We thought it was going to air in December. It is not. It will be airing March 5th, 2021. So that was when Coming to America 2 will be coming to Amazon Prime. Now, we still haven't seen a trailer for it yet. Soon, within the next month or so, we will probably see the trailer for the Amazon Prime movie, because Borat 2, it might be soon, because Borat 2 dropped really quickly after they revealed the trailer, and then boom, it was on like a week later. So we'll see what happens about that. Black Panther 2 is going to start filming in July of 2021. Without Chadwick, obviously, because Chadwick passed away a few months ago. They say Shuri's role is going to be increased, but it doesn't say she's going to be Black Panther, so I don't know exactly what's going on with that yet. They're probably going to keep that close to the vest. You're probably not going to see that, but it's good to see Marvel's ramping up the movies again. As I said, Black Widow's done, Eternals is done, Spider-Man is currently filming, Shang-Chi is in post-production right now, WandaVision is done filming, Loki season 1 is done filming, Falcon and the Winter Soldiers finished filming their first season, so they're working on getting those edited and ready for television. So we got a bunch of stuff coming up. There's Miss Marvel's been getting a little bit more action lately. So they're going to start ramping up filming on that soon. Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner is getting back into shape for that one. So that's going on. Thor, Love and War keeps casting other people from the Avengers and stuff like that. So, and from Guardians of the Galaxy, stuff like that. So we're looking for that. So we're looking for that to start ramping up soon. I think Chris Hemsworth is getting ready for that, getting himself back into shape for that. So I don't think you're going to see fat Thor anymore. I think you're going to see big, muscly, strong, sweaty Chris Hemsworth. So that'll be cool. So we'll see what happens. And to add to the Black Panther story, the cast has been, they say most of the supporting cast will be back. Sure, he's going to get a bigger role. They've also cast the villain. He's going to be an actor from Narcos named Tenoch Averton or something like that. So he is he's been cast as the villain in the Black Panther 2. So we don't know what villain he's going to be, but we do know that they are starting to ramp up filming. It will actually start filming in July. So they're in pre-production right now. Finishing up the script, hammering out the costumes, the sets, setting the filming schedule, stuff like that. So that's working on that pretty good. Wonder Woman 1984. We were waiting to see what was going to happen with that. It was supposed to open in movie theaters on Christmas Day. Well, we got word today that that Wonder Woman 1984 will be opening in movie theaters on Christmas Day. But it will also be dropping on HBO Max on the same day. So HBO Max will be getting Wonder Woman 1984 for free if you have HBO Max on Christmas Day. And if you want to go to the movie theaters and you don't have HBO Max, you can go to the movie theaters to see that as well. Well, there's a problem. Therein lies the problem. I don't have HBO Max. I honestly don't really want to get HBO Max. I don't need another streaming service to pay for. And second, I'm not ready to go back to movie theaters yet because COVID is spiking. We'll talk about that in a second. So I'm not ready to do that either. So now I can't watch Wonder Woman 1984 on Christmas. I'm now going to have to wait about 2 to 3 months till March, February, March, when they release it on Blu-ray and check it out that way. Now, to be fair, when the original Wonder Woman came out, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I guess 3 or 4 years ago, I did not see it in the movie theaters. One of the few Marvel or superhero that did not see in the movie theaters. I did not see that one in the movie theaters. So I saw that one when it came out on Blu-ray. So I figured, why not just keep up with that? I did want to see it in the movie theaters. I wanted to support it, but with COVID and all this other stuff as well, now dropping on HBO Max is like, nah, I'm not going to do that. So F that. I'm not going to handle that. So Wonder Woman 1984, you're not going to... I'm not going to see you for a while. Supercomputer Aurora 221 is going to map the human brain in 2021. So we're actually going to get a fully formed map of the human brain which is something that scientists have been trying to get for a while. So that's good on that. A animatronic Krampus decoration is now available for your Krampusnacht celebration coming up December 6th, I believe. And it's creepy looking, so you could probably throw it out there at Halloween and no one would complain about having your stuff up too early. Five Nights at Freddy film, which is based on the creepy kind of kids-esque sort of thing, is getting a film, and they're getting ready to film that. I guess it's going to be animated, I would assume, so they're going to probably start ramping that up really soon. Hershey's Caramel Whip Topping is a thing, so you'll be able to put that on your hot chocolate and ice cream, stuff like that from now on. And there's also going to be toasted marshmallow whipped cream also, which you can add to your hot cocoa or whatever as well. So those are two new whipped toppings you'll be able to go out and check out before. Apple pie is exploding. This week I am off from work. I'll explain why in a few minutes. But I will be on the search for the new apple pie Pepsi. Supposedly has a cinnamon, flaky, buttery, flaky, apple-y sort of flavor to it, and I'm dying to see what it tastes like. But they're really pushing the apple pie Pepsi. I've been seeing ads for it all over the place and on Facebook. So I'm going to go to like Wawa or Walmart or Target this week when I'm off and check it out, see if I can find it. And if I do, I will drink some and I will let you guys know about it next week. Also, apple pie Kit Kat is a thing as well. I think I might have talked about that before. Usually they also have apple pie Oreos. They're not out this year. Instead, they're going to be doing gingerbread Oreos. So I've already talked about that as well. And apple pie Bailey's is also a thing as well. So apple pie is starting to get a little bit more of a notice as well. So we got that all coming up soon. Speaking of Christmas, company will pay someone $2,500 to watch 25 holiday movies in 25 days. I could do that with my eyes closed. So maybe I will apply for it. Okay, not bloody likely. 2021 is shaping up to be a big year. As I said, we've already got, Coming to America 2, and The Human Brain is being mapped, and all kinds of movies, Black Widow, Eternal, Shang-Chi, all supposed to come out in 2021, all kinds of stuff going on. Well, something else to look forward to in 2021 is if you are a fan of The Lord of the Rings or Middle Earth or whatever, J.R.R. Tolkien is going to be releasing a new book. He's been dead for years, but they have discovered a treasure trove of unseen J.R.R. Tolkien essays on Middle Earth that have been collected into a book and will be released in 2021. So it's going to be more info about Middle Earth, including who knows what else is in it, but that's good on that. Also in 2021, Alan Rickman. We all love Alan Rickman. He's one of the greatest actors of our time. Died too soon. Died in 2016, when was the last year we had a massively horrible year. In 2016, Alan Rickman was one of the people who died during that time period. Anyway, they've announced today or this week that Alan Rickman, who loved to do on-set diaries and kept a diary to himself, his diary will be released, covering 1992 through 2016, talking behind the scenes things, his own personal opinions of actors and situations, stuff like that, and just feelings and thoughts, and should be a really interesting read for those who like Alan Rickman, like myself. So I'm actually looking forward to that. And it's not all that unusual. My wife years ago surprised me with a Michael Palin book, which was about his diaries. Apparently Michael Palin, another British actor, much like Alan Rickman, kept a diary as well of all his time that he was acting. Now, he started his before Rickman did. So he actually has 3 books out that cover all of his diary things. The first one is his Monty Python career. The second one is his rise in film with Fish Called Wanda and the Monty Python movies and The Mission, which I think he was a producer on. I think he might have been also. And the other Terry Gilliam movies like Time Bandits and the Terry Jones movies, Adventures of Baron Munchausen, stuff like that. He covers all that. And then the third one covered his his travel shows that he did, and his diaries from that. So they aren't all that unusual. I've read the travel diaries one, and I have the other two on my Amazon list. And one day soon, maybe, hopefully, I will get that and be able to read them as well. But I like to read the Monty Python one particularly, I think. But they are straight up diary selections, and it covers more than just his work and behind the scenes stuff. It also talks about his personal life and other things as well. So nothing too personal though, but and that's fine. But it'd be good to see a book from Alan Rickman that would be take care of that. It's fine, but it'd be good to see a book from Alan Rickman that would be take care of that. So last week I told you that today or this weekend was going to be a free weekend for me because my wife and kids were going to be at Scout Jamboree all weekend. We're going to come back on Sunday, and I was looking forward to it because I also was taking the whole Thanksgiving week off when I came back from my furloughing at my job. My company offered me 5 days vacation and 5 sick days for the rest of the year because they know things could happen and I'll need a break and whatever. And one of them was actually suggested, hey, why don't you do it around Thanksgiving? That'd be, might be a good time to do it. So I started thinking about it. I was like, yeah, it actually would be because I've never had off Thanksgiving because usually when I've worked at this place for a year, by the time we get to this, I might only have 1 or 2 days off. And I figured, I may as well hold on to them for later on. But because I have these 5 days, I am taking the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday off. Using my vacation day, we're already going to be closed on Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving and Black Friday. So I'm only using 3 of my 5 sick days or vacation days. I've used one of my sick days because I was sick a few weeks ago, back in October. So I have that, and I still have 2 vacation days left after all this is happening. So I do not have to go to work next week, which is going to be great. I know I do feel a little bit bad that, I was furloughed for so long that I didn't work, but I've been working my ass off since September, and I need a little bit break like everybody else. I've gone through some stress and strain this past week with election bullshit and not feeling good and worried about things. So I need this break. Also, I was going to hope that my wife was going to join me for it, but she can't because she's got all kinds of her own issues. And I sort of backed myself in the corner. I said, we were going to clean out this back room over here. And she said, well, I'm not going to do it, but you can still do it. I was like, oh, okay. So now I got to clean out this fucking back room. I really didn't want to. Once she said she wasn't going to do it, I was like, okay, well, and I just relaxed for the whole weekend, do some Christmas shopping, stuff like that. And I'm going to drive the van again, which I hate driving the van because I'm going to need to do some garbage runs. So we'll see. It should still be okay, but at least I have off. I don't have to go into work. I can stay home, sleep in, stuff like that. But because there's a rise in COVID, and I'll talk about that in a second, they canceled Camporee. So the kids didn't go to Camporee. So they've been home since Friday. Now, this morning, they went out and did some service project at the National Humane Society, cleaning up leaves and branches and stuff. And then the girls were upset that they weren't going to be able to have camping. So one of the mothers of one of the scouts said, hey, you can use my, they have a giant backyard. You can use my giant backyard for a campsite if it's just going to be like a few people. So about 6 to 8 of the scouts are going to be doing a sleepover and are actually doing it now at this woman's house. And Dawn, my wife, is joining them because she's a scoutmaster. Plus, she doesn't want to have the mother have to be the one in charge of 6 or 7 crazy to scoutmaster. Plus, she doesn't want to have the mother have to be the one in charge of 6 or 7 crazy teenage girls. So Dawn is doing that. So they're gone out of the house. So Noah and I, my son, are the only ones in the house right now. He's up there sleeping. Then tomorrow, the 3 of them will be doing an event at Oregon Ridge where they'll be making walking sticks. So I'll be watching the football game and stuff like that. So my vacation's starting off pretty nice. So that's good. But yes, COVID is on the rise. Unfortunately, there was a point, it seemed not too long ago, about a month or so ago, when Maryland's positivity rate was down about 2%, which meant 2% of the population was testing positive for COVID-19. So the CDC guideline level is 5% is where you want to be at. Well, over the last few weeks, And we haven't done really anything different. I mean, we've opened up the state a little bit where we started phase 3, where more people are allowed in restaurants and more people allowed in stores, stuff like that. But you still need to wear masks and you still need to keep your distancing, but it's eased up a little bit. I mean, you still need to wear the mask, but it's not, you can have more people and stuff like that. But the main reason is people are gathering together at bars and restaurants and family gatherings, stuff like that. And COVID is starting to get leveled up again. We're about 6% positivity rate now in Maryland. So it's gone up 4% over the amount of people in stores and restaurants is now cut in half. Now 25% occupancy is now available now instead of 75%. That's not really half, but you know what I mean. And so Thanksgiving coming up, it would probably be best not to go to your family's houses, have big gatherings for Thanksgiving because of this. So as far as I know right now, my wife still wants to go to her family house, and we're going to have my in-laws and also my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and my nephew and my niece. So we'll have a total of 10 people there, and then potentially 2 more could show up as well for 12 people, which is over the max they need at the party. And I'm not sure if I'm comfortable enough about going to Thanksgiving with COVID spiking like it is now, because they're saying don't go be in these gatherings, and I'm trying to tell people not to, but I'd be a hypocrite if they said, well, I'll do it, but you can't. So I need to have that talk with my wife. I know she wants to go because it's her family, but I think it might be best not to. But we'll cover that, and I'll let you know what happens next week on Dylan Knows. Also, because of the way things are nowadays and stress and all this stuff, there's a lot more Christmas stuff up early. My neighborhood, which usually doesn't get Christmas stuff up until after Thanksgiving and into early December, there are now a number of houses that already have Christmas lights up, Christmas wreaths, their trees are up, stuff like that. I've heard family members and friends are also doing the same thing as well. They've got their Christmas trees up, Christmas decorations outside. Christmas music is already on WLIF. It usually doesn't come on until the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and now it came out on the 14th of November, a full 2 weeks almost before actual Thanksgiving happens. So that's what's going on right now. It's not good. So we're hoping that something's going to happen. We're hoping that once Biden and Harris gets in the office and they put the coronavirus stuff into play, maybe things will get better. But right now, it's not looking good at all because of complete and idiot morons who are complete and idiot morons, which I'm not even going to get into. Stupid fucking assholes is the proper term for it. COVID-19 outbreaks have also appeared on mink farms in Wisconsin, Utah, and Michigan. So the fact that it's affecting the minks, which are animals used to make mink coats, that is kind of scary as well. A few weeks ago, a man attacked Rick Moranis for no reason, beat him. They have finally caught that man, and hopefully he will be incarcerated for a long time. Talking about changing it up a little bit with food, root beer barbecue is a thing. There was a recipe that I'm interested in looking at, see what that would taste like. I wonder what root beer barbecue would taste like. So maybe sometime I'll take a look at it. Some space stuff. Predator reboot from the 10 Cloverfield Lane director is coming. Sorry, I had to throw that in there, but it is. So we'll get a new Predator movie coming out from the guy who did 10 Cloverfield Lane. A giant fireball was filmed streaking across the sky, the coast of Tasmania, Australia, and you can also see it burn up and break up into various things on film as well. So that was kind of neat to see that as well. If you go outside tonight and pretty much every night through the end of the year, you will see in the, let me think, let's see, it was in, let me see, if I go out the front door, it's going to be that way, which would be facing more towards the south. Yes, to the southwest. If you go outside, look to the southwest. Yes. You will see two stars in the sky really close together. They're not actually stars, they're planets. Jupiter and Saturn will be the closest in the sky to each other from now till the end of the year. The closest they've been together in the sky since the Middle Ages, when Galileo, who discovered Jupiter and its moons, was alive. It was the last time Jupiter and Saturn were as close as they are now. They will look like double planets in the sky. Jupiter is much bigger than Saturn is, right? But if you look out to the southwest, you will see them in the sky, and you'll see them get closer and closer as the month progresses. If you have a really good telescope, or even, I guess, some binoculars, I guess, you might even see some of their moons, particularly the four main ones of Jupiter and about 2 or 3 main ones of Saturn, including my boy Titan. You might be able to see them from as well. And also, according to NASA, planet, including the former Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, and Mercury, are all going to be available in all the skies, morning and night skies, in the next month or so as well. Mercury is only available if you look near where the sun is rising or setting. I don't know exactly where that is right now. Venus is back being the morning star. It is a very bold morning star. When I've gotten up at 5:30 in the morning, I always look out my window. It's just a habit, just to look out at the world, see what's going on before I take my shower. And up there in the sky, I can see a little bit of light in the east as the sun is starting to rise. There's a big, massive little planet right there. That's Venus. So that's up there. Mars, who's been the star in the evening sky, is still out there. Not as big as Jupiter and Saturn are now, but it is still there. It is also sort of an east, sort of east northern, northeast sort of look. If you look maybe straight up, you'll probably see it. It's still big, but it's slowly disappearing because it's going away from us. Talk about the aforementioned Jupiter and Saturn. Not sure much about Uranus and Neptune, and they also say Pluto will probably be visible as well. So we're just in a really good time right now in our rotation that we'll be able to see these planets in the sky, and that's always kind of interesting sort of look at stuff as well. That there was a fossil galaxy was discovered hidden in the Milky Way. Basically, it was a galaxy that existed close to 10 billion years ago, when it ran into the Milky Way and created much of what you see now. And no one knew what had happened to the remnants of it. They just everything just dissipated or whatever, but discovered the fossilized remains of this galaxy, meaning that there really is nothing left out there, and it's just sort of been sucked into the Milky Way at large. They've been able to pinpoint the actual location of this fossil galaxy, which is really, really cool. Again, kind of interesting. Science is really, really cool. As is this. They've, for the first time ever, have found a full fossilized Tyrannosaurus Rex. Big, tall, not just big pieces of it, everything. The face, claws, legs, tail. But what makes it even more interesting is that there's also a Triceratops fossil with it, because they were in the middle of a battle when they died, and they died together, and they now were fossilized together. And this find has both the Tyrannosaurus Rex and the Triceratops locked in battle in their skeletons. It is the coolest thing in the world. And I'm not making, it's not a fake news story. It's an actual real storyline that just came out this week. It's been splashed all over my page, 3 or 4 different stories, places talking about it. It's amazing. It's really, really cool. So good on that also. Christmas time. The Rockefeller Center Christmas tree they had a picture of it. It looked good. Then they chopped it down, and they drove it from wherever they chopped it down to New York City. When they got it back up to New York City, it looked like crap. And hopefully they'll be able to fix it somehow, but I don't know what happened, but it looks a lot worse than from the picture that we saw, what it actually was. But that's not the big story. The big story was that they discovered a tiny owl who was in the tree, and was in the tree when it was cut down, and stayed in the tree on the trek from the location where it's chopped down to New York City and stayed in it till it was put up. And then when they started looking at it and getting the lights and stuff back on it, they discovered the baby owl in the tree, huddling, scared, terrified. So they were able to get it up and got it care of. But that's crazy. That's a really interesting thing as well. Speaking of crazy, pineapple Pepsi. I talked about apple pie Pepsi. Well, pineapple Pepsi is also a thing, and it is now available to drink as well, if you're lucky to find it. Maybe that's another one I should go look for, though. The lime Pepsi is still my favorite. But speaking of that real quick, I just had to bring this up. I started drinking this iced tea like a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half or so ago, and the first one I ever had was this half and half, the lemonade tea mixture. And that's what I liked about it. And then it disappeared. Never to return to Weiss. So I started drinking the blueberry and the green tea, which you've seen if you watched the show before. I went to the grocery store on a whim on Friday just to get some other stuff, and I looked down, and voila, there they were. So I bought my 4 bottles of that. This is my second one I've drank so far, so I still have 2 more in the refrigerator, which I can use over the next week or so. And also maybe that'll mean that they're going to start stocking it again, which would be fantastic. So yay for my tea. So I got that back in. A Batman statue that was based on Jim Lee's Batman was put up in Burbank this week as well. So if you like Batman, you can go ahead and check that out on your own time. Pop Culture Plushies is a company that turns movie monsters like the Alien and the aforementioned Predators I talked about into plushy, cuddly toys. The Alien one looked absolutely adorable. It looks like a little dog. It looks like the Alien, but it's so cute, fuzzy, and cuddly and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting. The Last of Us, based on the hugely popular computer game, is going to be getting a TV show at HBO Max. So yay, I guess, on that. On Disney Plus, we have The Mandalorian. We've had, 4 episodes of The Mandalorian. Last week, they revealed character from the Clone Wars cartoon, who is voiced by Katie Sackhoff, and it had made its Bo-Katan is her name, another Mandalorian. She made her live-action debut in last week's episode of Disney Plus, portrayed by Katie Sackhoff, which is something that's never been seen before, a live-action version of an animated character portrayed by the same actress who voices her. So that's not what's going to happen with Ahsoka Tano, who has name dropped at the end of that episode of The Mandalorian as well. So that's kind of interesting. So that was a good episode about that. It sort of, the funny thing about that was the episode started with them landing on the planet where the frog lady with her eggs, which we talked about last week with Muppet Genocide, where she needed to get her eggs to. So she got them there. And then when Mando discovered Bo-Katan and all those other Mandalorians, they asked if he would do them a favor and help them take out this Imperial starship. And he said he would. So he left Baby Yoda with the frog family and one of their babies, which, as we know, Baby Yoda had eaten a bunch of the babies. One of the babies actually hatched and became friends with Baby Yoda. So when Mando came at the end of the episode to take him away, he didn't want to leave his new friend. So that was kind of funny. This week's episode we caught early. Usually we wait till a few days later. Expanded on the Mandalorian storyline a little bit. Back to the original planet where all this started, with Carl Weathers' character and Gina Carano's character as well, making return appearances. The planet is now a semi-run, very well law and order place, thanks to Gina Carano's character. And so Mando needs to get his ship repaired, so he decided to go there because it was the closest place and people he trusts. So they were going to fix it all up as brand new. While they were waiting, Carl Weathers' character, Grief, I think is his name, and Gina Carano's character, I forget her name, they asked if Mando would join them on a mission to take out an old Imperial outpost, which has been there, and according to Carl Weathers, doesn't have anybody really in it, and if they can just shut it down and clear it out, it would give the planet a chance to be fully free now from the Empire. So Mando, of course, said yes, and he left Baby Yoda in a school to learn stuff he went and did on his adventures. However, they got to the place and discovered that, it actually is not abandoned, but is actually a fully functioning place, and it's actually where Moff Gideon, Giancarlo Esposito's main bad guy from the last season, has been doing his research. And we learn a little bit more, spoilers coming up, we learn a little bit more about their plan. Their plan is they are trying to farm M's, which we know are midichlorians because they say farm M's from the child, meaning Baby Yoda, and inject it into clones that look a heck of a lot like Emperor Palpatine or Snoke, and try to create a new type of cloned Jedi. Hasn't worked too much, but they want to keep testing, taking the midichlorians out of Yoda and putting them into this stuff. And we also discovered new stormtroopers, these black stormtroopers, which are badass also, which are still being built. So that's an interesting update to see what's going to be going on about that. So it looks like Ahsoka Tano will be making her first appearance in next week's episode. So we'll see what happens. But if you haven't caught this season of The Mandalorian, definitely there have been 4 really good episodes, I think. Well worth it. This is a story I didn't even know about till some friend of mine from college posted it. Back in 2015, Kent State University decided to put on a play about Martin Luther King. It's a play that's out and about. It's about his last night before he gets assassinated. And the director of the play decided to cast a white actor to play Martin Luther King. And Kent State University has lots of African Americans in it. And I'm sure you could have found a pretty good African American actor to come in and play Martin Luther King. The reasoning that he used was because Martin Luther King is one of the most important Americans, so an American should play him. I know I got nothing to say. That was, years ago. I had no idea about that, and that just absolutely makes my blood boil that something like that could happen. It's like, no, Martin Luther King should never, ever be portrayed as a black person. Ever. Because almost his whole being was to get equal rights for black people. Oh, well. We'll shift gears again to Fortnite and Pokemon Go. Fortnite made some news this week as they finally have announced when the big Galactus Nexus event is going to take place. It will be December 1st. As of now, December 1st at 4 p.m. There's a countdown in the game now. Galactus will be making an appearance very soon. They have the new battle bus up. So the countdown is counting down to December 1st at 4 p.m., which is a day later than they said that the new season was going to start. So they added a date. Now, it's very possible that this might just be the big event, and that there still might be about a week's worth of this season in the aftermath of this event before they start season 5. They did that a couple seasons ago with the Doomsday Device event, where it was the big event and you thought it was going to be the end of the season, but it wasn't. It actually was 2 days later when the new season started. So we'll see if something like that's going to happen. So that's been set. As again, it's not set in stone because it has changed before and could very well change again. So we'll see what happens. Before I get to the big news about Pokemon Go, today was the second Pokemon Go Community Day within a week. Last Sunday, there was the Electabuzz Community Day, and this Saturday was Magmar Community Day. So again, nothing really exciting about it, and I'm getting kind of a little bored with Pokemon Go. But this week, though, they decide that we're going to change up your boredom a little bit, and we're going to create something called Pokemon Go Beyond, which is their new update that they're going to be doing to the game. This is the first massive update they've had in years, probably. The biggest changes are up to the point level 40 was the highest you could go. They've now added 10 more levels to it, so now you want to go for level 50. And And again, the XP to get to level up is going to be extensive: 13 million, 14 million, 15 million, 20 million XP, which is a lot, takes a lot of time. It takes over a month and more to get that much XP together. So, but this time they're doing something different. You're going to do the XP, but you're also going to have to do a bunch of tasks as well. Like some of the ones I saw is like you're going to have to catch like 100 shadow Pokemon and purify 150 of them and do 50 battles with rocket, people, stuff like that. So it's a lot of extra work you're going to have to do, as well as grinding out the $1 million stuff to get to the level 50 height. So we'll see if that can keep my interest in it. The next generation, the Kalos generation, is being released also November 30th. Oh, this starts November 30th. The Kalos Pokemon are going to be released as well. So we're going to start seeing Fennekin and Greninja and Froakie, and the next batch of Pokemon gens are going to be coming out. So that's good about that. They've also created something called Seasons, which I think is a great idea. To make it more of a real life situation, they will put it in the season you're in. So the season starts December 1st, which you could conceivably make the statement is meteorological winter. And that's how they're probably going to go by. Meteorological spring starts March 1st. So you'll do the meteorological spring, which is March, April, and May. And then summer hits, meteorological summer's June. So you got June, July, August, fall, September, October, November. So that's how they're going to run it. And they're going to have, and that's in our hemisphere. Down south, they'll switch it up, so they'll have it down there, but it's going to be Pokemon who are particularly out in these times of seasons, types of weather, will be out more often. You'll see, I'm changing. You'll see that the backgrounds and stuff change to fit the seasons. So that's kind of good as well. There's some other stuff going on, but I can't read my handwriting. Oh, yeah, the quarantine. They shut down the quarantine status, which was for a while they were going to make incense be really powerful, so you don't have to leave your house, and they're going to have your friends, your buddy, bring you presents, and also you'll be able to do all kinds of stuff from your house if you're in quarantine. Well, they cut all that out once things seem to be starting to get under control, but now they put those quarantine stats back in place and will be in place until June of 2021, so that's kind of good as well. So that's Pokemon Go Beyond. Big changes coming up after Thanksgiving, so we'll see what's going on with that. I'm starting to see some. It was just the first page, so I've got a lot to cover, and I'm starting to see the issues with stuff. So let's just move real quickly here. Channing Tatum's return with the 21 Jump Street directors for a modern Universal monster movie. Always intriguing when you have monster movies and stuff like that. It should be interesting to see that. Costco selling 5-tier wedding cakes made of cheese. That just sounds awful. But if you like cheese, it's a cheap wedding cake, I guess you want to get. Lethal Weapon 5, according to Mel Gibson, is happening. Yippee. I'm so excited. I really want to see 2 geriatrics going around shooting up stuff, so I'm not excited about that in the least. Deadpool 3 is happening at Disney. It is going to be rated R. They've just hired the writers of Bob's Burgers, which are 2 female sisters. Who'll be writing the screenplay. No director has been named yet, but it will be Deadpool back to normal with a new writing staff, though. Supernatural, the TV show, I never watched it, but it ends its impressive 15-season event. Again, people are always going to be unhappy with series finales, and this has been no different this time. People are upset about how it kind of ended and stuff like that, so we'll see what happens. A baby elephant hides behind a light pole after being caught eating sugar cane when he wasn't supposed to. So like every other child, they're trying to hide so they don't get caught, which just goes to show you that animals and humans are a lot closer when it comes to how they act as well. Canadian government is refusing to allow the Toronto Raptors, an NBA basketball team, to return to play in Toronto, much like they did with the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto Blue Jays end up having to play their home games in Buffalo. The Raptors are going to have to find a similar place to probably have to play as well. which is a shame, but it makes sense with COVID and the way the Canadians are close to their borders to keep themselves safe. It makes a lot of sense because Americans are dumbass, stupid motherfuckers. The Volkssport, I don't know what it is. It's part VW Bud, part scooter. It's now something you can get now. So if you like the VW Bud but don't want to drive, you can now get a scooter that looks like the VW Beetle. The game show Wipeout, which is very similar to MXC, Most Extreme Competition, which was a Japanese game show where they showed it on Spike TV and they dubbed the voices over and made it kind of really funny. Well, they did a version of that and has all these weird stuff like that called Wipeout. And it's been fairly, popular for a while now, but unfortunately bad news hit it this week. They were filming a new episode and a contestant died after completing the obstacle course, so they had to shut down production of that. It's always a shame to see stuff like that happen. Nerds Gummy Clusters, which are part nerds, part gummies, are now going to be out and available for your perusal. Saint Bernoodle, a part Saint Bernard, part poodle, is an actual new dog. It's a very fluffy, big Saint Bernard poodle type dog. According to Dr. Fauci, Santa Claus cannot get COVID. So kids don't need to be worried about getting COVID from Santa Claus or his reindeer when he comes to your house on Christmas. So that's a good thing. So thank you, Dr. Fauci, for that. Jamie Lee Curtis, star of the Halloween movies, Fish Called Wanda, Knives Out, a bunch of other stuff as well, officiated a wedding of a Halloween super fan moments before he died. So they knew he was going to die. And the only thing he wanted to do was to be married because he's a huge Halloween fanatic, wanted to be married before he died and asked if Jamie Lee Curtis could officiate, and she did. So he was married before he passed away. So that's sad, but it's also kind of nice that Jamie Lee Curtis did something like that. On the same lines, Jason Momoa, who I'm not a big fan of his Aquaman because I think he was horribly cast, but I like him and other stuff that he's done. He's a genuinely nice enough guy from what I've seen. Called young boy whose dying wish was to meet Aquaman, so he actually got to talk to this young man for a while, and it's really kind of nice that they did that as well. Robert Patrick has joined the cast of The Walking Dead for their new season. Robert Patrick has popped up in everything from Terminator 2 to The X-Files to Spy Kids. Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger himself, has joined the cast of Stranger Things Season 4 as an escaped mental patient. So that should be not too hard for him, I guess. So we got that going on. The iconic Arecibo telescope in Puerto Rico, one thing that Carl Sagan was involved in, and he used it in the book Contact, they used it in the movie Contact, is going to be decommissioned because it has been falling apart recently, and now Puerto Rico's just decided that they can no longer afford to run it, so it is being decommissioned right now, which is a huge hit for scientific exploration of outer space. So let's cross fingers that something happens and a new one gets created or built or something like that. Talked about the Costco 5-tier wedding cake made of cheese. How about a wedding bouncy castle? So if you want to get married in a giant bouncy castle or want to have the bouncy castle at your reception, you now can get a chapel wedding bouncy house for your wedding pleasure. Now to have the honeymoon on the bouncy house would be great too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, bouncing up and down, up and down. You know what I'm saying? M&M's mini ice cream cakes are M&M minis are now going to be in an ice cream cake, so you can get the M&M minis as well as the ice cream cake, so you like that as well. Bud Light is unveiling its own game console to take on Xbox and PlayStation. That probably won't end well, but it's actually happening, so who knows? Speaking of Dr. Fauci, he said that Santa Claus cannot get COVID. Dr. Fauci has also said that both of the vaccines that have been announced that are going to be arriving in the spring of 2021, both of which have now can claim to kill 95% of what COVID-19 does. Dr. Fauci's been taking a look at the numbers. He's been looking at the the chemicals, the tests, stuff like that, and he says that it looks solid. It looks like that the CDC is going to sign off on the vaccine as well. So we might be, turning a corner when it comes to the vaccine, which is good, though it won't be available till the spring at the earliest. Black Lightning has been canceled at the CW after its fourth season. They're just going to do this last season, and they're canceling it. They canceled Supergirl recently, so this just makes sense that they're starting to drop their comic book shows like It's Hot, because they've already dropped Arrow and Supergirl, and now Black Lightning. The other one, and Legends of Tomorrow, I think, has been dropped as well. So the other ones, Flash and stuff like that, are getting old and stagnant. So they'll probably hang out for a little bit, but they're probably going to be gone as well. Robert Rodriguez, as I told you last week, is joining forces with Netflix for a movie called We Can Be Heroes. That's due out on Netflix on New Year's Day. It looks like Spy Kids, but for superheroes. It's got Pedro Pascal in it, and also Shark Boy and Lava Girl make an appearance in the movie that they did when they were kids. So now they're all grown up and they're married and had a kid. So we saw the first teaser trailer for that. Again, looks like Spy Kids, but with superheroes. So we'll see. Pink Panther reboot movie is coming from the Sonic director. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the Peter Sellers Pink Panther character, or it's actually going to be the animated Pink Panther character, because I don't know if they've ever been a Pink Panther movie. They just used him for the credits for the Peter Sellers Pink Panther movies. So there really was no Pink Panther in it, except for the opening, so maybe they'll do that. So we're not exactly sure what that's going to be, but it's coming up. Lay's has created something that sounds interesting and might be another thing that I might look for during my vacation this week. Salted caramel potato chips, a sweet and salty potato chip snack, tasting like salted caramel. We can down it with some cotton candy grape juice from Walmart. They are actual grapes called cotton candy grapes that taste like cotton candy, though they are grapes. Well, now someone decided, why don't we press them and make it into a juice so it tastes like cotton candy juice, but it's grape juice. So Walmart has that now, so I'll get some of that. Some salted caramel Lay's potato chips, some apple pie, Kit Kat and apple pie, Pepsi. Drink that down, all down. Drink some pineapple Pepsi as well. Eat some M&M's mini ice cream cakes, and we're going to be set. Spider-Man on a street light desk lamp. I kind of want that because Spider-Man's one of my big fans. It's a street lamp. It looks like a street lamp that lights up like a regular lamp, and actually a Spider-Man dangling down to it. It looks really cool, and might be interesting. Cinnamon Toast Crunch chocolatey churro cereal is a thing. Churros is that cinnamony sort of Mexican pastry thing that's pretty good, actually. It's like a cinnamon sugar, more pastry type thing. Now Cinnamon Toast Crunch has created a chocolatey churro cereal. So that's good. Tom and Jerry is back. I talked about the Pink Panther. Well, Tom and Jerry is going to be released their trailer for their movie coming out next year. It is a combination live action animated film with the cat and mouse returning as they look in the old cartoons. And they don't look computer generated. They look like cartoons. So it's not a computer generated robot and cat. It looks more like a hand drawn one. But the basic premise is that there is a hotel in New York that Luis Guzman is in charge of, and or not Michael Guzman, Michael Pena, I'm sorry, is in charge of. And they're going to have a Crown Prince of India or something that's going to be having his wedding in the hotel, and they need to get the mouse out of the house, out of their hotel. That's Jerry. And a young female makes it her plan to do that, to try to get rid of this mouse. But Jerry's too smart for her, so he gets the cat Tom, to come in, and he makes it worse. So we'll see what happens about that. It looks okay. It's not like something that I think I would go out and see, but if kids like Tom and Jerry, it might be something different. And they are not computer generated characters. They actually look like they're hand drawn. So that's kind of good too. I talked to you a couple weeks ago about killer whales attacking ships. Well, now apparently they are also now attacking great white sharks and eating their livers. So there's something going on with these killer whales right now, and something taken on. They're attacking humans and boats, and they're going after great white sharks. So they seem to be overreaching a little bit. Also in the water, scientists have discovered 16 ultra black fish, a fish species that's ultra black, which absorbs 99.9% of light. So it would make them very hard to see, and they are kind of weird looking. Eminem is in Funko Pop form now, using his 8 Mile characters. Pop now is available. On a personal level, this week is a big week. My nephew Luke turned 23 this week, and my sister and brother-in-law celebrated their 27th wedding anniversary this week as well. So happy birthday, happy anniversary to the family members there. Just to go show you just one quick little political thing. They are really pushing conspiracy theories now. That's their last resort. And the Trump lawyer emphasized and implicated a Venezuelan drug lord helped to get Biden elected president of the United States. The problem is they named the Venezuelan drug lord, who's been dead now for close to 15 years. Much like how they said John F. Kennedy Jr. was going to come back and become president, now they're saying that former drug dealers from Venezuela, drug lords from Venezuela, are coming back from the dead to help Joe Biden become president. And it gets to a point where it's like, what is wrong with these people? There's something mentally wrong with these people if they believe this absolute, utter bullshit or come up with these absolute, utter bullshit conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories are interesting to look at, and in some cases you can it's delved upon certain instances. Like a lot of people who believe that no, we didn't land on the moon, they take a look at some of the moon pictures and some of the stuff and say, well, what about this, what about this? Now that it's all been proven that that actually happens on the moon, but when you if you did not know that, when you see some stuff, you're like, hey, they're actually making a good point. But then you find out what actually the truth is, like, oh, okay. Now there's going to be some that we don't know much about, like John F. Kennedy. Speaking of which, JFK's anniversary of his death is tomorrow. It's like 63, so it'd be 63, 73, 83, 93, 2003, 2013, 57 years ago. So 57 years ago, John F. Kennedy died, was assassinated, and he was basically like the first real conspiracy theory that skyrocketed in the 60s and became still a household name sort of thing. And that has some truth behind it also. But where in the hell did you come up with a Venezuelan drug lord who's been dead for close to 15 years as being the one person helping them out? Is it a name? You just pulled a name. I was like, oh, he was kind of famous to prove that this is really happening. I don't know. You know what? There's something mentally wrong with you all, and you need a lot of help. A lot of fucking help. Some deaths this week. Kirby Morrow, voiceover actor for Inuyasha, was also the voice of Goku in Dragon Ball Z, and Cyclops in the X-Men cartoon died at the age of 47, so he was the same age as I am, I should say. That's kind of scary. Bobby Brown's son, Bobby Jr., died at the age of 28 this week as well. Ludus, the beloved sea otter matriarch, died at the age of 23 at the Seattle Aquarium. Master Chef Junior Ben Watkins, age 14, died from a rare case of cancer this week. It's kind of sad. UT some sort of city, UT Martin basketball coach Anthony Stewart, dead at the age of 50 this week. So college basketball coach died at the age of 50 this week. Mort Tatter, photographer for the Baltimore Orioles baseball team, my baseball team, died this week as well. So those are the deaths for this week. So we got 2 more pages to go. So here we go. Some sad news. Michael J. Fox has retired from acting, much like Sean Connery and Gene Hackman. Michael J. Fox has decided that he really, with his Parkinson's disease, it's really hard for him to continue acting at this point. So it's better that he retires now than wait till things get worse. So Michael J. Fox, enjoy your retirement, my friend. You were great. You deserved an Oscar. You got plenty of Emmys. You're one of the nicest guys in the world. Read your books. Fantastic. Good actor. Love you, man. Stay healthy and keep hanging in there. Another anniversary this week. There wasn't one that last page, but there was this week. Mickey Mouse turned 92 years old this week. So 92-year-old mouse. 8 years from now, Mickey Mouse will be 100 years old. That's insane. So let's see, 8 years from now, I'll make that 2028. So Mickey Mouse was created in 1928. That's crazy. Another anniversary this week, A Christmas Story, my absolute favorite Christmas movie of all time, came out on November 18th. It's 37 years ago it came out. So 1983. So I'll be watching that on Christmas Eve, as I always do. So fantastic. Scientists meat from human cells, but it's not cannibalism. So they meat from human cells, but you're not being a cannibal. It's just meat from human cells, which to me still sounds like cannibalism. This is actually kind of good. A lot of people complain when people shoot off their fireworks, 4th of July, New Year's, really anything lately this past summer, stuff like that, or thunder, how their pets, particularly dogs, get really freaked out by it and are really inconsolable. Well, a dog company has created noise-canceling kennels, which basically means you can buy a noise-canceling kennel for your dog and set up in your house so that if fireworks start going off or a particularly loud thunderstorm rolls through and you don't want your dog to freak out, you put them into the noise-canceling kennel and they will not be able to hear the noises. And I think that's a great idea as well. Beetlejuice shoes look really awesome, and I kind of want to get a pair because I need a new pair of shoes. They are now a thing. So go, I guess, type in Beetlejuice shoes, see how much they are, see if you can find them, and get them for yourself. Baby Yoda is actually in space at this moment as we speak. The new SpaceX flight from Earth to the ISS happened this week, and the astronauts on board brought along a stuffed Baby Yoda doll. So there are pictures of the Baby Yoda in the cockpit of the SpaceX and then again on the ISS. So Baby Yoda is currently up in the ISS right now, enjoying some time in our base. Speaking of Star Wars, a couple weeks ago, The Sims, which my daughter plays, Sims 4, released a Star Wars pack. Well, now it's Minecraft's turn. Minecraft has released a Star Wars pack with all new stuff that they can do in the Minecraft way that you're used to seeing it. So if you're a Minecraft fan, you're a Star Wars fan, well, now you can. Mint chocolate Twinkies are a thing. It makes me absolutely sick because mint chocolate makes me want to vomit. There's a story behind that. Actually, Thanksgiving story behind that. We used to go to my grandparents' house for Thanksgiving all the time. My cousins would come down and we'd play and have fun. Well, my grandmother always used to put out candies for us to eat. And she put out at one time Andy's candies, the chocolate mint squares that you see. She had a whole bunch of those. Well, I got a little too, the parents weren't paying much attention to me, and I was just kind of hungry, and they were good, so I kept taking them. So I kept stealing them, eating lots of Andy's candies. And then I got sick, and I threw it all up. So from that point on, mint chocolate did it for me. That was one Thanksgiving story. Another Thanksgiving story, I wasn't going to do Thanksgiving stories, so I figured I may as well, since that's the perfect thing, because mint chocolate Twinkies just do not sound good, and yet people love their mint chocolate. So here you go. We also used to go to my aunt's house up in Jersey multiple times for Thanksgiving. And there was one year I went up there where I got a stomach virus after eating Thanksgiving dinner and spent Black Friday in bed with gastric pains and throwing up and stuff like that. And we were leaving like that Saturday or whatever. So eventually got better, but it was kind of a rough Thanksgiving up there. So Thanksgiving, hopefully we'll have memories down the line. Lately, there hasn't been any issues, so that's good. Birthday cake, Fruity Pebbles cereal is now coming. Will be out next year. Again, birthday cake seems to be the big flavor du jour lately of things. So now you're going to get a birthday cake Pebbles, not Fruity Pebbles, but it's from the same people who do Fruity Pebbles. Did somebody say Fruity Pebbles? Wow, it's the third week I think I've discussed Fruity Pebbles. A 4-year-old parent, a 4-year-old boy, has lost both of his parents to COVID-19. That's just wrong and sad, and I don't know what's going to happen to that boy now. Maybe other family will step in and take care of him, hopefully. A woman has been complaining of stomach pains, and she went to the doctor, and they discovered something that they see is very rare, something called wandering spleen, which just sounds awful. The spleen appears to move within your body, and it can cause these stomach issues. I have a lot of stomach issues, and I probably need to get them looked at right now. I just don't have time, and I'm worried about the whole COVID stuff. But that could be the death of me eventually, is stomach issues, and I'm wondering maybe I have wandering spleen. I don't think so, but whatever. Bill Belichick, Patriots head coach, known for cheating scandals and also being one of the best coaches in the NFL. This year, not so much. The Patriots aren't really that good, though they did beat the Baltimore Ravens last Sunday night. An embarrassing game on national television, so still a little shocked about that. We play the Titans tomorrow in Baltimore. Hopefully we'll be able to get revenge for our playoff loss last year, though Lamar's like, it's not a revenge game. It's like, yeah, it really is. For the fans, it is anyway. So Bill Belichick is notorious for being silently tight-lipped about stuff, doesn't talk, doesn't do much press conference, shows very little emotion, stuff like that. And I don't know how this came about, but he announced this week, I guess it was a question, I suppose. It wouldn't make sense for him just to blurt it out because this makes absolutely no sense. So someone must ask a question that got him to finally make a statement, and a political statement, and he believes that the U.S. should take action in Turkey and Azerbaijan. Now, my international news and event knowledge is slight at best, so I have no idea what's going on in Turkey or Azerbaijan. But the fact that a football coach, New England Patriot football coach, or the winningest coach in football history for the most part, probably, just mentions this. Now, again, I suppose that it was a question. He was answering a question. It was just something that he just splurted out one day. I think we need to invade Turkey and Azerbaijan. I don't think that happened. I think someone asked him a question. But it's still kind of a weird thing to say. But he must be paying attention, and it must be affecting him in a certain way that he's suggesting that instead of we would go after Iran or Iraq, which is what everybody else in the world seems to be going after. So Turkey and Azerbaijan, maybe I should do some research on that instead of we would go after Iran or Iraq, which is what everybody else in the world seems to be going after. So Turkey and Azerbaijan, maybe I should do some research and find out what he means. But that's interesting that something like that would happen. Speaking of aggression, the United States, U.S. boats out in the Alaskan ocean ways, which are still part of the United States, have been being attacked by aggressive Russian boats, which again is kind of a scary thought that if Russians are doing this sort of snatch and grab aggression sort of thing, not listening to warnings, threatening to blow people out of the water, flying airplanes over the area? Is it a setup for a possible invasion by the Russians? And Alaska would make the most sense because Alaska is so cut off from the rest of the United States, and it's closer to Russia than the rest of the United States is. So would that would probably be the perfect stepping stone for an attack on the United States, would be to take down Alaska. And after you do that, you can invade Canada, and then you get to the United States. So keep an eye on that story. That's kind of an interesting story to keep an eye on. I didn't know stuff like that was still even happening nowadays, but apparently it is. And gee, I wonder why we're all distracted by this, that this is allowed to happen. I wonder why. I wonder how that could happen. Someone using Google Earth spotted a dome-covered cave in Antarctica. They posted a picture of it. So it is a dome-covered cave in Antarctica, and it's kind of a weird thing. So it's not some fake news or whatever. So like, that's kind of interesting. If you go to Google Earth, you can find the picture yourself. But it's kind of interesting that something like that is appearing. So to be continued on that as well. Chickens, lots of chicken stuff. You can buy mini Santa hats for chickens nowadays. And last week we talked about the gingerbread chicken coops. But now you can get mini Santa hats for chickens. So if you have chickens, you can get a mini Santa hat for them. And also you can get Christmas sweaters for your chicken as well. So chickens are a big deal now also. So you get themselves Santa Claus hats and Christmas sweaters now. So if you have chicken, that might be something good for you to do. Pizza Rat, Pizza Rat, Pizza Rat. Video came out of New York this week 2 times. One was of a giant rat on the subway, and another of a giant rat carrying a giant slice of pizza up the stairways of the subway. Now, normally you're like, why is this interesting story, Dylan? Well, let me tell you, Dylan knows by seeing these pictures that it is actually somebody, a human being, dressed up in a mouse costume. And there's pictures of him sitting in a subway chair across from a guy dressed as a mouse. And the other video appeared of him dragging a giant pizza up the stairs of the subway. I don't know why he's doing this. If he's doing it for art, or if he's doing it for the fun of it, or is he doing it to bring attention to mask wearing, whatever. But it's a dude dressed up as a giant rat doing stuff in the New York subway. So if you're in the New York subway, take some pictures, you might find them. 50 sharks were spotted off the coast of Australia by a lifeguard. It's spring/summertime down there, soon to be summertime down there in Australia. So the beaches are starting to open up a little bit more, get more action down there. Now there's 50 sharks sort of milling off of the coast. So that's an interesting turn of events as well. So we will see, I guess it's been Africa, or if it was Asia, maybe an Asian elephant, but it was a giant elephant was coming into their yard, like their backyard. And this kitten wasn't going to take it. So was growling and hissing and slashing at it, scared the big giant elephant away. So you go attack kitty. The Pizza Rat, Pizza Hut is selling a weighted pizza blanket that looks like a slice of Pizza Hut pizza. So you can now wear pizza, not literally, but picture of it if you want. Flipping through some trailers, I saw a trailer for The Ripper, which is a new series, a true crime series that's going to be on Netflix soon, about the Yorkshire Ripper, which I really did not know much about. He was a serial killer that was in England in the 1980s and caused all kinds of problems, bringing up a lot of discussion about how useless the police were, and also scaring the lives of many women who were afraid to venture out. And he called himself the Yorkshire Ripper because he was trying to send out Jack the Ripper vibe, because he started attacking and killing prostitutes first, and then went after regular women, would disembowel them, cut them up, stuff like that. He always attacked them with a ball-peen hammer, knocked them in the back of the head, sometimes beat to death with a ball-peen hammer, and then some terrible job of following up on things. Eventually, the actual killer screwed up, and they were able to bust him. This show details the whole Yorkshire Ripper thing, and it might be kind of interesting to check out if you're a true crime buff. So I might check that out for myself because it looked kind of interesting. Not so true crime based, but still horror film nonetheless. The reboot of Scream called Scream. They're just calling it Scream Again. Not Scream Again, it's called Scream, which has the entire cast coming back. Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, all coming back with new Marley Shelton, who was in the fourth Scream, came back as well. And then there were some new characters added in. It has finished filming. It was written by Kevin Williamson, so he's involved in that. He was the guy who created Scream to begin with. It will be it's done filming, but due to COVID and pre-production and trying to time it just right, it will not be out until January 14th, 2022. So 12, 13, 14 months from now. That's still a long ways away, but will people even remember Scream? Who knows? Speaking of trailers, Chaos Walking trailer, directed by Doug Liman, starring Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland and Mads Mikkelsen and Nick Jonas, is a science fiction film about a planet that has no women on it. A woman, Daisy Ridley, crash lands on it, discovers that the men's thoughts can be heard and seen. And soon, once people discover that there's a woman on board and there's something on the planet, there's something going on, it becomes a chase to try to stop the woman. Tom Holland becomes the hero to try to save her. So we'll see what happens. Could be interesting. Might not be interesting. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago on my show. We finally now got a teaser and some dates for it. So the Godfather movie series has always been great. The first two movies are considered to be cinema classics, within the top 20, maybe even top 10, actually probably more top 10 best of all time. They were out in 72 and 74. And then nothing till 1992, 93, something like that, when they released Godfather Part 3. Mario Puzo was involved again, and so was Coppola and Pacino, and Diane Keaton made a reappearance. But no Robert Duvall, which was a shame, and some other stuff. But it was a disaster. It did not get. It got some Oscar nominations, but no one was like, this is as on par with Godfather 1 and 2. They said this is just sort of like a bastard cousin of it as well. So it got panned and then just sort of disappeared into the ether. Well, during quarantine, Coppola started thinking about things, and he's been seeing, remakes and re-releases of films, and he's like, let me re-examine my Godfather Party. And he has some ideas. He's probably written down some ideas about how to fix it, because that's what artists do. They try to figure out ways to fix their stuff. So he had some ideas about how to fix Godfather 3. He had some deleted scenes that he still had intact. So he decided he's going to recut the film, add some deleted scenes, and I think he filmed some new footage as well. Nothing with the actors, because it would have been another 20 years since they were last acting in front of it, so it wouldn't look right. So he did some other stuff, maybe some CGI stuff, but he has created a director's cut of Godfather Part 3, which he now calls The Godfather Coda: The Death of Michael Corleone. It will be released in theaters December 4th and be released on Blu-ray December 8th, which is great, which means it's 4 days later. If Wonder Woman 1984 did that, released in the movie theaters, HBO Max on Christmas Day, and then on New Year's Day, they released it on Blu-ray, I would be okay with that. But instead, that's not going to happen. But the fact that Godfather Coda: Death of Michael Corleone is doing that, again, in movie theaters on December 4th, and on Blu-ray December 8th. I am excited for that. I think I will pick that as well and watch that and see if this new take of Godfather Part 3 will wash the bad taste of the original version of Godfather Part 3 out of my mouth. Fans of Mountain Dew can now get a Mountain Dew dispenser, which you can open up your 2-ounce liter bottles of Mountain Dew that you drink if you don't drink the bottles or the cans. You can now, so that it won't go bad, you can get a dispenser which pops in there. So it's a vacuum seal, keeps the bubbly in the water, and you can dispense it like, a regular dispenser does stuff. So you can get that nowadays. Pillsbury's got Holico cinnamon rolls coming out soon. I think I talked about it before, but I figure I'd bring it up again. Cheesecake sheet cake. Sheet cake is a flat cake, and a cheesecake sheet cake is kind of an interesting take on things. So that's actually kind of sounds interesting and might be kind of tasty as well. I'm good to check that out. A charcuterie, oh my god. Chalet, you have the gingerbread houses that people make now, but charcuterie is like your meats and crackers and veggies, appetizers type of things. You can now make houses out of them, and people can eat them. They eat gingerbread houses, so that's a new thing now. Charcuterie chalet. A racing pigeon was sold at auction for $1.9 million for a racing pigeon. Holy shit. That's insane. 1.9 million for a racing pigeon. I think that was the second racing pigeon that was sold recently for around that same price, and it was bought by the same guy. He bought one a couple weeks earlier around the same price as well. So I guess there's something. I've never really heard of racing pigeons, so I guess there's something. I just talked about the hot cocoa rolls from Pillsbury. Pillsbury also now has gingerbread cookie dough. So instead of making your own gingerbread cookie dough, like a lot of people make their gingerbread cookies, you now go to the grocery store and get one of those flexible sort of tube things that has the cookie dough stuff in it. You bring it in, you chop it up, put it in the oven, and it'll cook up and make your own gingerbread cookies as well. So that's good on that. It is the season for cookie making. So Cookies and Cream Blossoms is a new cookie. The Blossom is the cookie that you have a regular cookie and then you have a Hershey's Kiss in the middle. And that's how you eat it. They're delicious. And you can do different things. You can do like a peanut butter cookie and put like a chocolate kiss on there. Or you can put a hug on there, which is a mix of chocolate and white chocolate kisses or whatever. One with caramel. You can do whatever you want and make any cookie you want. Well, Cookies and Cream Blossoms now our thing where you use the cookie and cream Hershey Kiss with a chocolate cookie. So, not cookies, a white chocolate Hershey's Kiss with a chocolate cookie. So, looks good, and we'll see what happens. Red Velvet Cheesecake Brownies is also a thing. So, if you're a fan of Red Velvet, you can now get Red Velvet Cheesecake Brownies. So, nummy num num for those that like that kind of thing. An Indiana boy was rushed to a hospital after ingesting 27 magnets. How the hell did you swallow 27 magnets? Would they look like food? Is that what you did? I don't know. I don't know. I talked about Fortnite earlier with the new Galacta event coming up. Well, they released the Winter Black Widow outfit and the Venom outfit are now in game. So good on that as well. Enormous alligator was spotted on a golf course again. There was a story about that came out a few years ago. Well, now there's another giant one, not the same one, another giant one crossing golf courses now. Sugar cookie martinis. So if you want to get a Christmassy sort of thing to eat, go for it. Reese's at Easter, they sell the giant peanut chocolate Easter bunnies. Instead of the chocolate bunnies you usually get, they have ones like that. Well, now they have chocolate Santa, so I got to get myself some of those as well. There it is. anything else that's food related. There's gluten-free Oreos is a new thing. I mean, I can't do an episode without talking about new Oreo flavors. So this isn't a new Oreo flavor. This is a gluten-free Oreo. So now people who can't have gluten can now eat Oreos, excuse me. Steak cakes are a thing with mashed potato frosting, which basically means it's a steak that looks like a cake covered in mashed potatoes. So yummy, I guess, if you're a big fan of that. Hot cocoa cold brew from Starbucks wouldn't be at a show, wouldn't be an episode. Dylan knows a Starbucks reference. Hot cocoa cold brew from Starbucks special menu is a big thing nowadays too. Salted caramel cookie Hershey bars. I think I talked about that. I need to find them as well. They are now out and about in stores. Pokemon cereal is back. So if you want to eat some Pokemon, you can eat Pokemon cereal now. Jolly Rancher cherry lemonade drink is now available also. I guess maybe that's summer, but I guess you need to release it eventually. So there you go. I guess all the food stuff. I guess all the food stuff coming to there. Wynonna Earp, a show that I actually enjoyed immensely. Watched it with my wife for a while. Didn't catch any of the last seasons. Have been getting a lot of news and stories about its lesbian storylines and its sisterly love stuff. And it's a good show. And the fans were able to bring it back for a new season. And to prove it, Wynonna Earp won the People's Choice Award for Best Science Fiction Fantasy Show. So Wynonna Earp seems to be maybe being up on the incline. Their new season came out earlier this year, and there's half of it, and it did really well. Second half is due out, I think, sometime next year, so that'll be good. Virgin's first Hyperloop passengers were tested out. Hyperloop is a super fast train thing, which can basically, if the Superloop, they're talking about doing a Superloop on the East Coast, you could basically go from Baltimore to Boston in 1 hour. That's how fast the Superloop would be. You could go to New York in about 20 minutes. That's how fast it's fast. Transport system, but it hasn't really been focused on too much. I'm really starting to get some more of this stuff. I'm almost done here. Airport workers make a tree completely out of confiscated items by security. So they made the tree out of these confiscated items. I think that's pretty cool. Egypt discovers a trove of sarcophagi, ancient sarcophagi. So a whole bunch of them. So that's pretty cool. Cat backpacks, if you want to carry your cat around now. It's a clear window they can see out. They have air debris, so like that. You can carry your cat wherever you want to. Missing Bigfoot statue which vanished, has surprisingly reappeared there. Darkwing, maybe the Bigfoots put it back there. Darkwing Duck, Disney Plus reboot coming from Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. Beat and became friends with members of both Ravens and the Orioles, and has become a huge part. And he passed away earlier this year. They've been doing all kinds of stuff. The Baltimore, the end zones for Baltimore, and when you're in Baltimore football games, the MO in Baltimore is gold for Mo. There was a whole section in the stadium of cardboard cutouts of Mo called Mo's Rose. They're going to name a road downtown from Mo Gabba. Well, now you're also going to get your Mo Gabba talking bobblehead to hear some of his voice. I listened to him on 105.7, the fan radio, and he was a great kid and very bubbly, full of life, and very funny. So good on that. The Batman HBO Max TV series that was going to be concurrent with the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson sounded like it was going to be a good deal. It had a good show running staff on it, stuff like that. Well, showrunner Terrence Winter has decided that he no longer wants to be part of it. So now my interest in that series has now dropped incredibly. So not interested in it at all. Speaking of HBO Max, Conan O'Brien is shutting down his nighttime show and will be starting a variety show on HBO Max. Whatever you want to do, Conan. Whatever. Cool, man. Samsung creates a slim, similar to the Princess Leia from Star Wars. So you can now, they're starting to work on their holographic stuff. So that could be an interesting thing to come up really soon. Comedian and actor Sinbad from a stroke. Didn't know he was sick. Hope everything's good with him. Puma has new Nintendo sneakers out there now. You have Beetlejuice shoes. Now you have Nintendo sneakers. A Wonder Girl TV series is into, so good on that. So it's going to be connected to Wonder Woman. And from the film schedule, waiting to see where a viable position for it to be, to release it in theaters. Maybe next year, we'll see, maybe late summer, early fall, when would be the best time to do it. We will find out soon enough. The anniversary on this page is Home Alone was 30 years old this week. One of my favorite movies, Christmas time. One of the best directed Christmas movies of all time. Maybe someday I'll break down how much I love the Home Alone movie and how it was directed with the music and stuff like that. But it was 30 years ago this week that it came out. So happy 30th anniversary to Home Alone. I'll be watching you this holiday season as well. Man opens a portal in his room via sound. That is, but it's kind of an interesting story if it was actually true. They opened a portal to another dimension. And finally, the last story is a kind of really dark and disturbing, stupid one to end this Thanksgiving, week before Thanksgiving episode. Delta airline passenger was awoken from a nap when the person who was sitting next to her, a pastor, was peeing on her. Now, I don't know if it was racist because she's a black woman sleeping there and the pastor was white, but the fact that a pastor was peeing on a passenger in an airplane makes no sense whatsoever. A very disturbing story, and I'm sorry I picked it to end this Thanksgiving, week before Thanksgiving episode of Dylan Knows. So I'm disturbed by that. But that is it for episode 377. Give thanks, not code. I want to wish everybody out there a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe, be smart. If you don't have to go to Thanksgiving, don't. If you do, social distance, wear masks, whatever. Same with Black Friday. Don't feel the need to go out and nip this in the bud so we can actually go out and do things in the summer and next Christmas, so we don't have to worry about anything. I don't want to come back here a year later saying, don't go to Thanksgiving again. I want to come back here a year from now and say, hey, I'm going to Thanksgiving this year. So enjoy your Thanksgiving. I'm going to enjoy mine. I got this week off. Despite the fact I'm not going to be able to see it, the Macy's Day Parade is still going to be a go. It's going to be virtual. I've got 3 great football games, 2 of which are teams that I like. The Washington football team is playing Dallas in a great rivalry game at 4 o'clock, and the Ravens are playing their rival, the Steelers, in Pittsburgh on Thanksgiving night. So that'll be great. But the Ravens also have to get through this new Tennessee Titans game in Baltimore. If they can do that without getting injured, they got killed last with injuries. Hopefully they can pull out a win this week and not get injured and then have the short week and go in and take care of Pittsburgh and break their undefeated streak unless they lose tomorrow, which I doubt is going to happen, but you never know. So happy Thanksgiving to you all. Be safe, be smart. Happy Black Friday. Again, be safe, be smart. Happy Small Shop Saturday. Be safe, be smart. I'll see you back here next Saturday for Dylan Knows Christmas season begins. And until then, gobble, gobble, gobble. Happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. I'm going to go relax. I got the week off from work. Take care. Love you guys. Be safe. Be smart. Happy Thanksgiving.